Welcome to How to Shred for Dummies. And the reason why I say for dummies is because I'm not going to get into any like music theory kind of stuff. I'm mostly just focusing on like shapes here. All you're really going to need to know is the minor pentatonic scale and the major pentatonic scale. And so the reason why I say this is because the 2 and 2 can go in the hand if you're trying to break out of the minor pentatonic box. Most of what I'm going to be talking about is in like the keys of E minor, but it can be applied to the major keys as well just as easily. So basically, the minor pentatonic scale, E minor, if you don't know it, I'll teach it real quick. It's 12, 15, 12, 15 on the first, and then 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 15, 12, 15. You can do the math on the strings. I'm not going to say them right now. But, hold up, even in the minor scale, you can still play the same shape as the major scale. So if we were doing E major, like if I was to show you the E major scale, which is... I'll walk through it real quick if you don't know it. It's 12, 14, 16, 12, 14, 16. I'm going in order from thickest to smallest, by the way. 12, 14, 16, 12, 14, 16, and then 13, 14, 16, 13, 14, 16, 14, 16, 17, 14, 16, 17. So that's the shape. Get used to the shape. I'm not going to deal a lot with like, sevenths and adding the minor third and stuff like that. So E minor pentatonic shape, which is the first one we learned. Get used to it because that is what we're gonna be learning is the shapes. Same with the other shapes. So the major pentatonic shape. We're not gonna be playing the E major scale. But we are going to be using that shape somewhere else on the fretboard in the key of E minor. So we take the E minor, go to the 15th fret, and starting from there, you can play that same major shape. And that is all still in the same key of E minor. So you can play through the whole thing and it all sounds fine. So how can we smoothly put these together? There's a little exercise I like to do that I got from Sinister Gates himself, and this is what I learned that kind of made it click to me that you could use all these shapes all over the fretboard that I've already learned in my beginner years, and I just didn't know how to break out of that box when I was jamming. If I'm jamming an E minor with someone, like before I, taught myself this, I was just like, anytime it was my turn in the jam circle, I'm immediately starting with a bend, Which isn't a bad thing, but then onwards after that, I'm just staying in the same. Which, is great if you're doing the intro to an AC/DC song, but if you want to kind of get more exploratory, not dissing AC/DC at all, by the way, but if you want to get more exploratory, there's some more notes you can add inside of that pentatonic scale, and you can climb out of it. I was doing a little bit of this, like, I got a little bit out of it, but that doesn't really even count, to be honest. So what we're going to want to learn to connect these two together is a little etude, or I guess just like another scale, but within the minor pentatonic scale. So that's going to be 12, 14, 15. I'm like I said, I'm just going through the strings again. I don't want to say E, A, because I'm just going to get dyslexia and I'm going to mess it up. So 12, 14, 15. I'll play it through once just in case you guys can learn by ear. You can skip this part. So that's 12, 14, 15, 12, 14, 15, and then 12, 14, 16, 12, 14, 16, 13, 15, 17, sorry, I just had a mini brain stroke. 14, 15, 17, and then you slide up to the 19th, and then you're going to do backwards a different shape, which is 19, 17, 15, 19, 17, 15, 17, 16, I'm having a real hard time counting right now, 17, 16, 14, 17, 16, 14, 17, 15, 14, 17, 15, 14. So you put that together, and so that kind of just connects the two scales that I was talking about earlier. That 17, 16 combo, that's all part of the major scale too. It's like the middle of the scale. So that all just connects, and so you can use that all across the fretboard. You know, you want to add some dynamic to it, then you could do the same thing, but on the lower frets. And so now you have just way more options from sticking in that E minor pentatonic scale, which is what I was doing for so long, and I'm sure a handful of people are doing that as well. And so it's time to break out of the mold. Best way to practice that, you know, I would play each note twice so your finger can get used to the muscle memory a little bit faster, and then yeah, you're able to build the strength in your fingers a little bit more. And then yeah, that all connects. Like, you can still break the rules of the scale, but it's definitely a good stomping ground for shredding. And you know, I'm by no means a shred master or anything, but I am a shred daddy, and so I know a thing or two, but not everything, for sure. I forgot to kind of explain how this can apply to the major scale as well. So if you're in the key of E major, you can do the same thing I was talking about, but just reverse it. Since you're starting in the major scale, go down 3 frets, and then start playing the minor scale. Now, in this case, it would be C sharp minor.